Hi Taurus, let's take a look at what energy the upcoming week brings and what you should pay attention to. The energy of the week, the Emperor. This is about strength, control, and getting your confidence back. It feels like you're finally stopping the doubt and starting to see the situation much more clearly. This week, someone might unexpectedly change how they treat you, especially after you stop chasing anyone or trying to prove something. And yeah, the person has been quiet or keeping their distance is still watching you. The Emperor also points to an important decision. Work, money, relationships. You're no longer willing to settle for less. And right at this moment, the energy starts shifting in your favor. The most interesting part? Someone may realize they are losing control over you. And that will change the entire dynamic between you. Now let's see what else is happening in your space. Five of Wands, Four of Swords, Four of Cups, the Devil, Ten of Swords, and Two of Pentacles. Taurus, right now, you're in a state of inner conflict, as if struggle, exhaustion, and emotional burnout are all happening inside you at the same time. You keep fighting with your dependencies, habits, or attachment that stopped being helpful a long time ago. But at the same time, you don't always notice the sign the universe is sending you. Signs that clearly show where you're stuck and why this keeps repeating. Your current state can be described like this. You're trying to juggle your problems, attempting to keep everything under control, but inside, fatigue keeps building up. And sometimes apathy becomes a way to shut down, not to heal, but to escape from inner tension and self-destructive thoughts. You need rest, a pause, recovery. But at the same time, you might be closing yourself up from new opportunities and help simply because you're emotionally overwhelmed. Right now, attachments are very strong. Relationships, fears, habits, or parents that are hard to break free from. Even when you know they aren't good for you, and you may have already reached a breaking point, a moment where continuing like this is no longer possible. But here's the most important part. You're still trying to balance. That means the situation isn't final. You're in the process of choosing, even if it feels heavy and unstable right now. Let's take a look at what you need to know right now. King of Swords, Five of Swords, Two of Cups, Queen of Pentacles, the Magician, and Nine of Cups. This feels like a story where someone tried to control the situation through cold calculation, manipulation, or emotional distance that may have led to conflict, tension, and a sense of betrayal or unfair play. There's an energy of triangles or hidden influences where feelings were never fully clear, and someone acted primarily in their own interest. In the end, that drove the relationship into a dead end and created painful experiences for both sides. But here's what's important to understand. Situations like these often show not just the other person's actions, but also where you allowed yourself to be emotionally controlled, ignored the signs, or stayed longer than you should have. Right now, this karmic lesson is about restoring your inner control and reclaiming your power. Stop playing by someone else's rules. Step out of emotional manipulation and bring back your mental clarity and boundaries. The key to clothing this situation is honesty with yourself, emotional maturity, and choosing your own well-being over repeating an old pattern. Let's see how exactly you can break out of this cycle and finally close this lesson for good. Queen of Wands, the Hangman, Three of Cups, Ace of Wands, Page of Pentacles, and Knight of Cups. Right now, you're in a situation that feels like a dead end, and it's largely connected to the influence of third parties or external noise around your story. But here's why it's important to understand. This isn't really about other people. It's about your inner lesson, learning to step out of involvement and bring your focus back to yourself. Yes, you may be going through a phase that's necessary for your growth and for moving to a new level. And right now, the key is to stop scattering your energy on the story and the people surrounding it. The best thing you can do is to step out of emotional involvement and bring your attention back to yourself. Not through struggle or resistance, but through shifting your focus to your own goals, development, new knowledge, and new experiences. When you stop feeding the situation with your attention, it gradually loses its power over you. This isn't about forcing yourself to ignore it. It's about naturally shifting your focus back into your own life. Right now, it's important for you to fill yourself with new energies, to learn, to move, to open up to new experiences, and to bring back your interest in life and your own desires. Through this, inner strength and clarity will return. And then the situation will begin to untangle on its own, because we'll have already moved beyond it internally. Now let's see what the universe advises you. The World, the Fool, and Ten of Wands. You're closing a heavy chapter. Too much responsibility and other people's emotions. This is finally no longer your burden. The cycle is truly coming to an end. A fresh start is ahead, a clean slate, where old patterns no longer control you. You're slowly moving out of overwhelm, where there used to be too much. Space is opening up for yourself, your desires, and your forward movement.